Hello and good evening. It's from Michael in the Philippines. Translation: Mi casa es su casa. My home is your home. Let me see if this will let me switch it over. Maybe it won't. Uh, so I'll have to do it backwards. I'm going to hope you can see me. I got my rose colored glasses on. It's as rosy as I can get. And guilty as charged. You know, if you read the label and it says one thing but you get another, oh well. You had your glasses on. Well, time to take them off. Let's take them off for a second. Let's get real. We're talking about today. I just heard or got wind of that they're going to start tracking folks that are at certain airport locations. I think it was called. It's called TRAX. We gotcha. We know where you're at. And that's just a pilot. They're starting that off to see how it works out. And hopefully it will. And maybe that kind of operation will spill over into the United States as well. There's many people. There's very controversial things like that. They're talking about, you know, identifying us either through face, I think, facial recognition, your eyes. Maybe you got a little band around your wrist or your ankle. You know, we're staying home these days, but it's they're tracking us, and the reasons why is because if you were, say, on this airplane, I understand, and somebody on there just so happens to have the COVID, then they know how to contact you and identify you as a potential carrier or somebody that was exposed. So you need to be checked and or quarantined. Well, it's not going to stop there, folks. I mean, that's the start of something that's on its way to all of us. And we can see that maybe the need for that, as well as it's going to be in time, I'm certain. They're going to start saying, well, where were you last? Or who were you with last? And that's going to have to be monitored and regulated as well. And probably for the safety of others. If we're going to be careless with who we are with or who we lay down with, or if you're in those clubs, whatever country you're in, and there are fines because you're pulling somebody away from how they make money. Are they selling gum in there, by the way, or cigarettes, or are they all bartenders? Why is there a fine? Fine to me sounds like it's an association to a crime. And maybe, in fact, you are committing one, you know, as far as they're concerned. You pull me out of where I could make other money from others, then you should pay the cost or the price for that because you're taking me away from my place of, my revenue is obtained there, you know. But there's also a cost, not only to you in one way, but in many others. And of course, if there was any kind of transmission there in that situation, you're going to pay for that as well. And maybe that's just you individually. Um, but if we're going to get to the point where it's necessary to monitor, those that are in contact with others, and if whether you're good or you're bad or you're clean or you're dirty or you're promiscuous or you're celibate, if you're exposed, then we need to know that you're okay. Because if you're going to be in the company of others, then we don't know if that's you know transmitting either disease and or polluting somebody else's situation. And those that are innocent would not shouldn't be subject to your promiscuity. Is that the word that you would use? So anyway, beginning. That's the beginning, and I think we all need to clean up our act. We need to get it together, or we need to just tell our people in office, that we're not on board with that. That we enjoy our freedoms too much, and we want to do it the way we want to do it. and there should be no regulation of any kind in any way. Or those that might say, well, there's some wisdom in that, maybe, that might be a better way to go. I don't know. I don't know the answers, but it's something to talk about. It is controversial, um, but you know, all kidding aside, gloves off, glasses off, rose-colored glasses. Looking from the outside in, it's very obvious that there's something that needs to be worked on. I do think that, if people are married, and it's obvious that if they are, that there should be, that separated thing, they're basically online committing a crime or getting ready to and inviting you in to do it with them, and I didn't know the depth of that. I guess I was more looking at it through the eyes of a Westerner and thinking that separated meant that I'm on my way to having my marriage dissolved, like a divorce. And I don't mean a quickie one, and I don't mean that feels good. It's like peeling off a scab, really. I've been through that before, and divorce is not an easy transition. It's not easy on the children or either spouse. Sometimes it's more difficult for one than the other, but I do think that children primarily suffer the most from that because now they're confused or they think that that's just the way to go. So, planting seeds, creating the future for our children and setting the stage, for something like that to just keep going forward instead of finding ways to stop that is, I think, the way we should go, or at least talk about it anyway. So, that being said, just wanted to touch base on that. So now that we have a TRAX system, we see where that's going. And, these are just the beginning stages. These are pioneering stages of things to come, and the reason why I think that they are implemented is because there's a lot of carelessness that's going on and a lot of people get hurt. And whether it's through travel or it's through protecting yourself right in your own homes. People are becoming a little bit more conscious, a little bit more secure, a little bit more isolated, and people that are just run amok with the way things are presented. No divorce in that country, but there's a very large population of the people there, even people that are in office, I believe, police officers, etc. They're enforcing law, but breaking it at the same time. Yep, that's what they're doing. And I'm saying that not because, I'm saying that. I'm saying that because the person that's doing it has told me that. So it's, if the law is that you can't divorce, then you should just abstain and think that out and get back together with your spouse because you're locked. There is no out, and you both don't have an excuse. So if you're going to do that, and then stand with a badge on your chest, and you represent a country or a government, then you have to abide by, your own rules. We have complaint here in our country where people are a little harsh because they require more from the people than they do themselves. In other words, there's officers here breaking laws, but we try to find them, and if in fact they're doing that, they no longer are employed before they hurt somebody. Uh, all for monetary gain or just a whoops, or they just think that they're above the law. So I want you guys that are fishing for a good woman, and you go to those sites, and there's a cherub with an arrow in his hand, and he's going to pierce your heart with a smile or with a hope. I want you to look at all the separated people there. So if this is a good place to go for that, you have to ask yourself, right away, please, they're breaking the law. So if you want to walk into a den of, that, try to be careful of what I say because I don't want to offend anybody, but I want you to really realize what's going on. Take a look at it. Separated, 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 separated. Well, who's okay? You're separated. What does that mean? That means that you can come there and be with me, but anything we do or have or whatever is his because he owns it. He owns me too. I'm his as well. Unless you're into that cuckold stuff, or you like to do adulterous things, it just doesn't seem, like that's the way I would want to go. And those that are separated, I guess the first question would be is you got that all worked out, right? Not you're going to finance that. And I'm going to hold on to mine while you do that, and while he does it, and while he does it, and while he does it, and then as a, we'll just pull it all in until I get what I need done, and then I'll adios to all of you, whoever were the contributors or the benefactors, of that situation. So be careful out there. And you know what? Even if the government and things like that are happening, tracks, we've been tracked all along. If there is a creator, if there is a beginning and an end to anything, if there is a God, if there is, he's been watching you all along. So he's just waiting to see if you're going to turn around. And I always try to pull in a little bit, with the biblical stuff, especially talking to somebody that's from a Christian country. This story: woman running down the street, men and women chasing her, ready to stone her to death. Why? Because she was an adulterer, right? She runs up on the Christ, falls to her knees, please, So everyone stops because they see him and his apostles. So he stops and he just asks them the question as he's picking up the rock too. Any of you without sin, cast the first one. Well, that prompted them to just let go of their stones and walk away at that moment. And then she stood and he looked at her and he said, turn away from what you're doing. And she so did. And by the way, he squatted down and with his finger started just circling in the sand or in the dirt, as if to say, this is a written law. If you didn't run up on me at that particular time, you would have been stoned by the law, no doubt. Now, if she would have went home or left his side at that time and didn't show any kind of repentance and just went on doing what she was doing again and again, the next time she might not have been so, for lack of a better term, lucky. See? That's what it's all about, folks. All right? So if you read that stuff or don't, or you think it's just a bunch of no good stuff, I try to pay attention a little bit to it anyway, or a lot of it. And I just hope that you're looking at all those things and factoring all those things in when you're doing what you're doing, and pulling towards others' heartstrings to get financed for something like that. You guys have a good one. Do something right by somebody else today. Help your neighbor. Check on the elderly, whatever. Do something nice. Be a friend to somebody. Let's talk about not a problem in any particular place, but in a global situation that we're all in together. And let's make a difference. We can do that. It's not hard. And if it is hard, oh well. We got it. We got it. We could do it together. All right. Thumbs up, thumbs down, like and subscribe. I'm going to ask for that since everybody else does. Hit the buzzer or the bell button or whatever, and we'll talk again. Have a good one.